All right, Kris and I might disagree, but I think we'll still be friends after this. We'll find out. UCLA men's basketball dropped their non-conference schedule. We've been waiting all season, all off season, for at least a snippet of what the schedule looks. I've seen some guesses, I've seen some looks, but it's officially here. Kris, you think this schedule is what?
It's perfect for what Mick Cronin seems like he's trying to do. Look, you got a new team, basically, not like a completely new team, but you got some new guys in some key spots. So you don't want to just overload guys with 7, 8, quad one games, in your non-conference like Baylor's doing, about 5 or 6. But you want to have a nice balance, a nice mix of Q1 with Arizona, Gonzaga, and then a bunch of Q2s and Q3, Q4s, and just kind of get your guys an opportunity to work on your new offensive system, the new style of play that UCLA will be playing this year, which is a lot more up-tempo, and there's going to be a lot more offensive creativity. And it also gives Coach Cronin a chance to keep his guys in the Pacific time zone for all 11 non-conference games. Not one game is outside the Pacific Conference, as you well know, which is well documented. Mick Cronin's bane to Mick Cronin's existence is extensive East Coast traveling all around, and how that impacts the actual time that him and his coaching staff get to spend teaching players, implementing offense, things like that. Again, I like it. It seems to be pretty strategic, progressive, challenges throughout the non-conference. Those games against Arizona and Gonzaga are going to be huge. I mean, those are must wins, in my opinion, for tournament and West Coast reputation and tournament implications, right? Arizona, obviously, they are who we are, one of our greatest rivals, arguably a bigger rival than SC, just because they've been more relevant in basketball and for a long time. So I think that's our biggest rival. And then Gonzaga, who we have a tremendous history with. Jalen Suggs beat us on a bank shot. Adam Morrison crying when Luke Mbamute steals the ball from him back in 2008. So we got I love playing Gonzaga. I love playing Arizona. So I like the schedule. There's also a break in that schedule.
The break is probably going to be for the Big Ten games. That's my expectation.
And then there will be 2 Big Ten games squeezed in there. So I think it's smart. I think it's smart scheduling by UCLA, not biting off more than you can chew, and it gives Mick Cronin opportunity to kind of get his guys, beaks wet, if you will, as far as, hey, we're going to get our guys together. We're going to see how we look. It's not a tremendous amount of competition. You got Pepperdine, West Georgia, some other teams that you can kind of, try some different lineup combinations, give some guys like a Brandon Williams and Eric Freeney chance to play. Maybe Trent Perry may play 30 minutes one of those games, but it's all going to pay off, that type of experience early on, later on, because guys are now seasoned and they are ready to go.
UCLA in this 13-game stretch, I think, 11, 13. I guess I'm including the Big Ten games. So I think it's 11 games, if I'm not mistaken, that they have 0 true road games. I'm not going to count the game in Seattle at Gonzaga. I'm not going to count the game in San Francisco at the home of the Warriors. And we've gone back and forth about the NBA homes for the neutral site games that are like road games, but neutral site. I just really do not like the fact that UCLA won't play a true road game until December. I'm assuming that within that 2-week break between Thanksgiving to mid-December, that's when those 2 Big Ten games will happen, which is how it happened last year. Last year it was at Oregon and Washington. It might be flipped. I'm not really sure. They haven't announced that yet. We'll find out soon. In this schedule, there is no true road games yet. The only signature home game you get is Arizona State. I think it's weak. I think it's easy. I think it's embarrassing. But to your point, I do think it leads UCLA. They must be a top 5 team, an either one-loss or unbeaten contender heading into January when Big Ten play really kicks off with the final 18 games of the 20-game conference schedule. That is my thought. I think it's weak. I think it's a little pathetic. I know they have to have some of those home games to kind of get people to come out, but it seems like they're a little scared after they lost to New Mexico early last year. And just, what do you think?
I don't know. I don't know. I think it's about minimizing travel, man. I think it really comes down to that. I think Mick's been really outspoken about how much he hates it. They saw the Statue of Liberty like 3 times last year, some quote he had. And it takes a toll on your team, the hours, the commitment it takes to travel, takes away from practice time, academics, etc., all of that. I think this was done with intent to keep all the games in the Pacific time zone, no true road games, because you're going to have a lot of road games that you're going to have to deal with in the throes of the Big Ten. You're going to be traveling your behind off in December, January, February, March. So I feel like Coach Cronin wanted to ease the pressure off the guys. And you still get Arizona and Gonzaga, your 2 greatest traditional West Coast rivals. Okay, you play Arizona State at home. You know, it's maybe not the most glamour non-conference matchup, but it's still a solid team that we always get into fights with and always kind of have a chippy sort of thing. So it's a good test. And then you play Cal at the Chase Center, who Cal this season, you know, who knows what they have. They're in the ACC. Mark Mathers up there coaching guys up. They're waking up at 6 a.m, running on the track. So who knows what you're going to have? But I do think that this was definitely done by design to minimize the travel impact on the players.
All right, we're going to have a pop quiz as to how good your memory is. All right. I did a little research as to the games you guys played in the non-conference during your career, Kris. All right, you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Who did you play at home and on the road in your true freshman year during the national championship run? Who was on the schedule? Do you remember who those non-conference games were your true freshman year?
So I know Duke, and I know
Duke without Coach K, because that was his back injury, one of the worst.
Pete Gaudet was the assistant that took over. Yeah, but I saw Duke, non-con, LSU. We went down there, Baton Rouge. Did we play Notre Dame?
That was not a year with Notre Dame, no.
Okay.
It was the big Kentucky game in the Ponds.
Kentucky at the Pond. I'm drawing a blank. Northridge. We played Northridge too.
Yes, but my point is we're not gonna. I eliminated all the mid majors. So I had NC State at home. NC State mediocre year. LSU had a mediocre year, but NC State that year did upset number 1 North Carolina, who I believe was on the other side of the Final Four bracket, and lost to Arkansas, who you guys played in the final. You guys did go to Louisville, coached by Denny Crum, and you played Louisville. I'm pretty sure your entire career, every single year, you played a home and road game. You played Duke at least every single year. You played Kansas twice, who was number 1. You played North Carolina and Alaska. And I know that's where Mick's trying to get rid of the travel here. No Maui's, no New York Thanksgiving trips. But at least a home and road with a Kansas or going, you see, like, it's top 20 Maryland, who was then a non-conference member in your sophomore year. It was at Notre Dame, which used to be more of a long-standing basketball tradition with UCLA, playing at Kansas, hosting Kansas, at Illinois, all fun games. And I'm just like, why can't we get one of those without breaking the bank? Can't you do that in early November when the legs are fresh and just put a big name game? Why are we so afraid? And obviously it's a different era in the mid-90s, but you played so many good games, and they're playing those games in late February and early March. Obviously, the conference schedules, and you guys didn't have conference tournaments, so it's still different to play top-tier teams, which that's a different age now. But I just want one of those. Like, let's just go to the McHale Center, have an egg thrown at us. I don't know, like get grow something.
No, I hear you. I totally hear you. It was a different time. Different relationships within the athletic departments, right? Different, just everything. So those games, a lot of those games had like some historical like basis. Like, for instance, Louisville, you know, Denny Crum was a former UCLA assistant. So that was like a locked in thing that we did for years. Notre Dame, that game, we didn't play Notre Dame that year, but we typically played Notre Dame because of the 70s and all that. 88, they broke our 88 game winning streak. Digger Phelps was head coach. So you had like a lot of like, and then Duke. You know, I don't know how the Duke stuff started.
But that was 4 years in a row with Coach
K.
Like,
I don't even know how the Duke stuff started, but that was a fun rivalry. Look, I would love to see that, but it's just different. They're in the Big Ten now. So you have different considerations that you have to take into account in regards to travel that you didn't have to do in the 90s. You're not in the Pacific Conference anymore. So you're in the Big Ten. So that means you're traveling a lot during key months that are going to drain you already. So you're kind of behind the 8 ball. I mean, you're kind of like in a disadvantage if you're UCLA or USC or Oregon, and you got to keep doing the time zone things. In my opinion, So I think scheduling softer in non-conference is the smarter, more prudent type of decision, because you got to remember, if we played hitters, Duke, Kansas, Kentucky, if we had them three, they're gonna, it's gonna be tough. We could beat them, but it's like that's a tough gauntlet to have to go through. You got to be strategic nowadays. It's not just about playing the big boys anymore. You got to be, have a strategy and a method to the madness, I think, scheduling wise.
And I think my biggest thing is they have to get to a point where there are big name West Coast rivals. You have Gonzaga and Arizona on the schedule. One of those at some point in the future has to be a home and home. Like maybe you flip every 4 years, you choose one of them, you do a true home and home, not an NBA arena. And we have talked about it. And I understand the travel aspect. It's taking Pac-12 conference travel and putting that in the non-conference where you play your old Pac-12 rivals. And then you put all that travel in November and December that you're used to doing and putting that in January to early March, which is a lot for a West Coast team. I just think at least get a big name home game more than Arizona State. Is that really going to pack up Pauley Pavilion? I don't think we can truly say that is.
Is your goal? So if the goal is, we're trying to pack out Pauley, I mean, I can see your point, but I don't know. I just don't know how much that comes into the thought process when you're scheduling games in 2025. I just don't know. I really don't know. Like, I would love to see that. I would love to get back to the days where that's
even a decade ago when they were playing Kentucky at home. That would still pack it out, and it was fun when they were number one.
Yeah, and you gotta, a lot of this stuff is like, you gotta. Who knows why we stopped playing? I don't know. There's something going on, over my pay grade. There's, obviously, if we stopped it, there was something that they didn't agree upon to not do the games. So everybody that we used to play that we don't play no more, there's a reason why it stopped. So somebody must not be getting enough money, and it must not be worth it. I don't know. You got to kind of look at that through that lens instead of just kind of, we just have our pick of whoever we want to play. They're willing to play us. If Kentucky has options to go other places and make more money or
with
whatever. Less travel. You know what I mean? So Duke, like when they go to the Midwest, so like Duke, the Champions Classic in Chicago at the United Center, you know what I'm saying? Like that's sort of like that big thing where you'll see Kentucky playing Duke, like first game of the season, Kansas playing somebody sick, first game of the season. But again, those type of scenarios, you're not going to find those in homes anymore as much. We got to look that up and see, just the true non-conference home that still exists. That's just out of this world in terms of a matchup. I'd have to look at it. I have to really look at it because I'm looking at Baylor's schedule, and I say Baylor because it just dropped by Rothstein, and they're playing 3 games against ranked teams, but I think they're in some classic down in Puerto Rico. These tournaments, these made-for-TV events have taken over and have become a priority more than the classic home and home. You got to also remember, last thing on this, the old days of college basketball where the geographical rivalries and stuff, like it doesn't, it kind of went out the window a little bit as far as like with conference realignment. So it's like the world kind of changed in how we look at everything now and what's valuable. What do we value as a program? You just got to look at it differently now because of the different variables that are in play.
The one thing I think we do agree on, Kris, tell me if I'm wrong, UCLA has to be with this schedule at least a 1-loss team, 2 losses at most, 1-loss team come January. We don't know who those Big Ten teams are, but in this non-conference schedule only 1 loss maximum, because they lose 2, you're getting sent to the East Coast round 1. It might be the same thing as this last year, and you're really screwing yourselves if you're not taking care of business. It minimizes the opportunity, but they're closer to home. You got to take care of business, but it also leads to what could be the overhyped machine come January in Big Ten play.
I will say this, I'm more confident in this team being able to bounce back with this crew because of the depth that we do have at the 5 spot. I mean, you got 3 guys, big, strong, older, in terms of Jamerson and Peoples Jr. that I think are going to really help a lot more than years past when you had Amara and stuff like that in the 5. I think, so that's all I had to say about that. Look at that.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. And I think we're expecting they better have a good record, and it looks like they will. And it'll be fun come Christmas time, January, when UCLA has a single-digit ranking, hopefully by next to the 4 letters as we get ready for Big Ten play to really start.